One of the things that's so unbelievably, and I mean truly profoundly underestimated in modern Western culture is the psychological depth of ancient spiritual traditions. And look, this is important, not because they're quaint or exotic or even because they provide some aesthetic or spiritual relief from the barrenness of modern life. No, they're profound because they map something real, something eternal, something you ignore at your own peril. Now, when you look at Indian Tantra, and I don't mean the popularized, westernized nonsense that reduces it to some kind of spiritualized hedonism, I mean the serious, ancient psychological technology. What you're seeing is an attempt to integrate the totality of human experience, not to repress it, not to sanitize it, but to confront it as it is. At the heart of Tantra is this terrifying and beautiful idea that the path to transcendence isn't up and away, but straight through the center of the abyss. It's not about denial, it's not about repression, it's not about pretending that desire and death and decay don't exist. It's about walking straight into them and integrating them. This is the same idea you find in ancient myths all around the world. The hero doesn't become the hero by staying home. He becomes the hero by voluntarily confronting the dragon. That's chaos. That's the unknown. And it's only by walking into that place, by accepting the monstrous and the divine within yourself, that you find the gold. And Tantra understands this intimately. Now, let's talk about sadhana. You can think of it as a voluntary pathway of discipline. And this is key: discipline, not self-indulgence, not spiritual consumerism. Sadhana is about taking responsibility for your own transformation. That means sacrificing who you are for who you could become. And look, we all instinctively know this. When you clean your room, when you make your bed, when you organize the things around you, what you're really doing is confronting the chaos of being in the smallest possible arena. And that's the beginning of sadhana, the real beginning. You can't aim for God unless your own soul is in order. People often ask me, what about the chakras, Dr. Peterson? Well, let's think about that psychologically. The chakra system isn't just some esoteric energy schematic. It's a hierarchy of values arranged along the spine, the axis of being. It's a symbolic map of human development. From base survival at the root, to creativity and sexuality, to power, to love, to truth, to vision, to the crown of transcendence, it's a model of integration, of climbing the pyramid of order. And when the Kundalini rises, when the serpent moves upward, it's a symbolic way of saying that the chaotic unconscious potential within you is being consciously aligned with your highest aim. And that's not fiction, that's not mysticism. But that's what happens when someone tells the truth consistently. That's what happens when you sacrifice the immediate for the meaningful. That's what happens when you pursue the highest good. Now, what about the gods and goddesses? People look at figures like Kali and Shiva and think, well, those are just old religious symbols. But Jung would say, and I agree, that they're archetypes. They're expressions of the collective unconscious. They're representations of patterns that recur in human psychology across time and space. Kali is terrifying. She's the devourer of time, the destroyer of ego, the feminine force that rips away illusion. But she's also the protector of truth, and we all have a Kali within us, that part of you that rises up when you've had enough of lies. When you say, no, this ends now, that's Kali. And Shiva, he's the great ascetic, the silent observer, pure consciousness, the still point at the center of the storm. That's the part of you that can watch your own chaos without judgment. That's the logos, the word that transforms reality when spoken in truth. People love to misinterpret Tantra sexually, especially in the West. But sexuality in Tantra isn't about gratification. It's about transcendence through unity. The hieros gamos, the sacred marriage, this is the merging of opposites, the masculine and feminine, not just in physical form, but in the psyche. And again, this maps onto alchemical symbols. The union of sun and moon, king and queen, consciousness and the unconscious. You have to unite what is divided within you, and sexuality, when it's conscious, when it's disciplined, when it's sacred, can be a portal to that. But this is dangerous territory. This is playing with fire. And if you're not grounded, if you're not ethically oriented, you can burn down your soul instead of illuminating it. The guru in Indian tradition is not just a teacher. He or she is the embodiment of the self in Jungian terms, the guide who leads you out of the forest, but only if you're willing to follow. And here's the paradox. The true guru doesn't give you answers. He or she forces you to confront your own darkness. That's what real teaching is. It's not comfort, it's confrontation. That's what Christ did. That's what Buddha did. That's what spirituality does. It wakes you up. So what's the price of transformation? Suffering, always suffering. Because the old you has to die for the new you to be born. And that's terrifying, but it's also the only thing that's ever really worked. This is why myths of death and rebirth are universal. Osiris, Christ, the phoenix, the yogi in the cave. You descend voluntarily. You go to the underworld. You face what's there. And if you're lucky and courageous, you emerge renewed. That's Tantra. In a world that's saturated with nihilism and postmodern deconstruction and the fragmentation of meaning, systems like Tantra remind us that meaning is real, that the structure of reality can be engaged with, not manipulated, not ignored, but honored. You don't get away with anything. That's the lesson of karma. That's the lesson of conscience. That's the lesson of the hero's journey. So what should you do? You take responsibility. You confront your shadow. You tell the truth. You aim at the highest possible good you can imagine. And then you try to live as if that's real, because it is real. And if that's not a sacred path, I don't know what is.